Good morning and welcome to your Wednesday news round. While you've been sleeping, people in America have been voting for who they want to be their next president. Now, tens of millions of adults in the US have voted to decide who they want to run their country for the next 4 years. Donald Trump, who has been president before, or Kamala Harris, who is the current vice president. Well, Nina has visited the country recently and made a special programme all about it. She's here with me this morning to bring us up to date. Thank you for joining me, Nina.
Thank you for having me.
So can you explain to us what's happening?
Yes. So as you said, tens of millions of Americans are voting for their next president. And at the moment, the votes are being counted. And the results so far are looking good for Trump. But let's have a look at what's been happening.
It is midnight on the East Coast, 9 p.m. on the West Coast so far. A big night for Republicans and Donald Trump.
CNN projects that Donald Trump will win the state of North Carolina.
We are now in a position to project Georgia. Georgia projected there as a win for Donald Trump. Alsumi, we have a major projection to bring to you now, a really, really huge one. We can project Pennsylvania for Donald Trump.
Wow, it's been a very busy night.
Yes.
So where do we stand right now?
OK, so I'll explain the elections a little bit because it's different to here in the UK. So there are 50 states, and we can think of it as 50 contests all happening at once. And both candidates are desperate to try and win each state. Now, most of the time, those states are either Republican or Democrat, but there's some of them which we call swing states. And that's when the race is really close and it's very tight on who's going to win. I actually went to one of them, Pennsylvania, and spoke to lots of children there about their experiences and who they would like to win the election. Now, one of the swing states that has been called is Pennsylvania, and a lot of them have been called for Donald Trump. So his supporters at the moment are looking very confident. And in the last few minutes, Donald Trump has declared victory. So let's hear from him.
I want to thank the American people for the extraordinary honor of being elected your 47th president and your 45th president. And every citizen, I will fight for you, for your family, and your future.
Now, obviously, that's Donald Trump saying that he's won, but it's clear to say he hasn't yet won. The votes are still being counted. We will keep you up to date on the Newsround website and let you know exactly when we know as well.
OK, thank you. And it's clear that this election is a really big deal, but why is it so important?
Yeah, well, America is such a big, powerful country. Lots of people all over the world will be looking at these elections and trying to see who will win, because it can affect people's lives all over. It will affect the lives of people in Ukraine and the Middle East, because whoever is in charge will have those relationships with world leaders everywhere. So, yeah, it is very important.
OK, so it's a very important job. So can you talk me through the candidates?
Yes, of course. So we have Donald Trump. You might have heard of his name before because he has been president before. So let's go through his history. He won in 2016 and he was president for 4 years, and then he lost in 2020. And now when he lost, he wouldn't accept that loss. And he talked for several weeks saying that, you know, he just wouldn't accept it. And then in 2021, there was rioters, some of them armed, who went in to the US Capitol building. Now, that's the home of the US government. And many people blamed what Donald Trump had said for, you know, those actions of those people.
Yeah.
So obviously there's lots of people who support him, but there's a lot of people that I spoke to in America who were a bit concerned if he is to win, and what might happen.
OK, and we'll hear about that a little bit more from that later. So can you talk to us about the other candidate, Kamala Harris?
Yes, so this is Kamala Harris. She is the Democratic Party candidate, and she is the current vice president.
And what does the vice president do?
So the current president is Joe Biden, and he's in charge. That's the top job. And then Kamala Harris is vice president, and that's the next person in charge. Now, Harris actually wasn't always going to run for president. It was only decided about 100 days ago, and that's quite last minute in these elections. Joe Biden decided to not go for the top job because there was concerns about his age and his health. Now, when Kamala Harris has been vice president, she's been put in charge of immigration and the border in the south of the US where immigrants come in. And that's been a really big issue in this election and something that I spoke to the children about a lot.
Yes, as you mentioned, so your time out there in America, so when you spoke to these kids, what did you find out?
Yeah, it was really surprising, actually. Like, they were really divided. Particularly, it was interesting to see that where they lived really affected their opinions. So some of the children I spoke to lived in rural Pennsylvania. So it's quiet towns, it's countryside. And the children there really liked Donald Trump, and they really hope that he's going to win because they feel he cares about that small town where they live. They also spoke a lot about the cost of living. That's something, obviously, we talk about here, that the price of things has increased, and the same thing's happening in America. You know, they're saying it's more expensive to buy toys, to buy clothes, and that's something that really worries them. So let's hear from them.
When he was president before, there was a lot of lower taxes and there was a lot of jobs and things were good. Since he is not president anymore, I feel like things have really gone down.
Trump cares about us. He cares about towns. Harris helps no town. Even though Donald Trump ain't perfect, he still shows he cares about this area, and I just feel like Kamala Harris don't show that.
They've got some really strong opinions there. And can you talk to me about some of the other kids that you met?
Yeah, so some of the other children I spoke to were Democrat supporting kids and more a fan of Kamala Harris. Now, these children actually only live 2 hours away from the other children I spoke to, and yet their views are so different. They lived in Philadelphia, so it's a busy, loud city with a diverse mix of people, so that might affect their views. I spoke to some black girls who said if Kamala Harris was to win, this would be really historic. You know, this would be the first woman and the first black woman and South Asian woman to become the US president. And the other kids here that I spoke to, it was quite interesting that they just said, you know, Harris might not be great, but she's definitely better than Trump. So let's hear from them.
I would vote for Kamala purely because Donald Trump is the other candidate.
Trump really feeds off of the fear of his followers. He tries to, say he's gonna fix everything. If you vote for him, he makes up fake situations, he lies.
Why has this guy has broken so many laws able to run our country?
Trump is just such a bad person that I would not want to vote for him, and I'd choose the other option. They both aren't the best.
Some more strong opinions again. Thank you, Nina, so much for coming. But before you go, can you just explain where do we stand right now?
Yes, so where we stand right now, obviously, it's looking quite good for Donald Trump, and his supporters are looking very happy and very positive. But we're going to keep you up to date on the Newsround website. Obviously, head there for everything that you need to know. You can also watch our special programme all about the US elections and hear more from those children and find out about their opinions.
Cool, thank you so much. And you copied my outfit this morning,
matching.
Nina. All right, we'll see you soon. Have a lovely day. Bye.
Bye.